Good afternoon, everyone. My name is Ron Browder, and I am the chair of the Advisory Council to the Ohio Grandparent and Kinship Care Coalition. And so we would like to welcome you to today's meeting. That meeting topic is kinship support programs across Ohio. And what we tried to do today is to really give you a understanding and a sense of the various programs that serve caregivers across the state, from Appalachia to Northeast Ohio to Northwest Ohio, and just get a sense of sort of what it is that organizations are doing to help stabilize and support families. And with that said, our presenters today are Vicky Abdella, who is the Director of Community Services for Caregiver Support Program out of the Area Office on Aging, District 7. And she will share what counties that encompasses. We also have Elizabeth Jones, Director of Advancement and Operations at the Appalachian Children's Coalition. She will also share the counties that she is responsible for, the catchment area that they work in. And then we also have Stephanie Sulzbach-DeGidio, and I apologize if I'm saying it wrong, Stephanie, please correct me, from Lake County, Lifeline, Ohio, and she's the program coordinator for the Kinship Navigator Program in Lake County. And finally, and also we have Marsha Rose, who is the Lucas County Kinship Navigator Program Supervisor at the Area Office on Aging of Northwest Ohio. We will also have a presentation from Carla Lanier, who is the Director of the Kinship Program at the Fairhill Partners in Cuyahoga County. So without further ado, in order to make sure that we give ample time to everyone in their presentations, I'm going to go ahead and open it up and ask Vicky to share her program and her catchment area, the counties she serves, and what they do. Thank you.
Hello. I'm sorry, I'm having some technical difficulty, but I'm here on the phone. Vicky William, I think, is there on the Zoom meeting, and she works with me in the caregiver program. And we are from the Area Agency on Aging, District 7 in southeastern Ohio. We cover 10 counties: Adams, Brown, Gallia, Highland, Jackson, Lawrence, Pike, Ross, Scioto, and Vinton. Our caregiver support program at the Area Agency on Aging is funded through the Older Americans Act, which funds a program for all caregivers, and this includes relative or kinship caregivers. There are distinct services in the rule through the Older Americans Act that are covered for caregivers, including kinship caregivers, information and assistance to help caregivers gain access to available services, counseling and caregiver training to help in making decisions, solving problems, try to do support groups, and provide training for caregivers. Respite care, a temporary relief from caregiving. We currently do not have a formal respite kinship program at this time. We do try to find opportunities for kinship caregivers through camps and other available things in our counties or outside of our counties, but we don't have a formal respite care at this time. And then supplemental services, which is a one-time purchase of an item or a service that complements the care that the caregiver is providing. Under Older Americans Act rules, all caregivers are eligible for information, assistance, counseling, and training. For the supplemental service, there are a few other eligibility that caregivers would have to meet. It's kind of complicated in the rule, but for older relative caregivers, it's a caregiver 55 or older who lives with or is the informal provider and is the primary caregiver of the child. Typical assistance that we do for grandparent or kin caregivers are giving them access to any programs that are available to them that we are aware of that are currently available in the state, such as the Kinship Permanency and Ohio Works First programs. We oftentimes deal a lot with mental health services and the case managers there and getting maybe children that need it, available services there. We do a lot of supplemental purchasing based on need A lot of times we are buying school clothes for kids, paying for school fees. We have bought beds before. We have purchased, the AAA driving lessons, some of those more costly things that are available to kids in school that sometimes are hard to pay for. We have bought appliances before. That list just kind of goes on and it's very long. The definition for that service is a service that complements the care that the caregiver is providing. So that can be kind of broad, and also based on our funding. The good thing about funding over the last couple of years is we've had a little bit extra due to all the circumstances happening in the world. So we've been able to help these caregivers a lot more in the last couple of years than we have before. We also work with the schools and social workers in the schools to help identify families that are in need through kinship care. We have been involved in back to school events, giving out resource information at their events in the schools, providing legal information, and sometimes we have a packet, and then we can also refer them to Southeastern Ohio Legal Services. We have tried to do support groups over the phone and tried to get just a kinship group together, but didn't have a lot of luck over the past year. We also, of course, we can refer them there. They don't have exact services for people in our counties yet, but they are doing assessments, and eventually we'll have more services available, but we can also refer them there for more resource information, although we pretty much are able to provide that for them. One new thing that is coming very soon to our caregiver program, and we're very excited about, is we are starting a web-based training platform built for family caregivers. And this includes, obviously, kinship caregivers. We will have a website. It's an on-demand portal with a website that has personalized education. We can give caregivers a login. They can log in themselves and they can pick topics, or we can suggest topics for them as well. Caregivers can have the content read to them. They can print it off and read it. They can watch a video. There's a lot of topics in the portal that will be available for caregivers. Things such as grandparents supporting grandchildren, grief and loss. There's a section on intellectual developmental disabilities, diabetes care, music therapy, caregiver wellness. There's an area on dementia, activities and recreation, safety and injury prevention, personal care, brain health, as well as our local resources for our 10-county area. It'll be customized to our agency. We feel that the increased training that will be available to them on demand 24/7, even though it's through a website, it'll increase the training and lead them to be more confident and have better outcomes in their care. Our portal has just gotten finished and this week, and we are going to be doing training for our staff on the portal this week. And hopefully within the next several weeks, we'll be putting out an announcement that our portal is opening in the near future. So look for that on our website and our Facebook page and everything that we can find to get that information out for caregivers in the area. That's going to be a new thing that we are trying to broaden the scope of information that we're providing, because we serve such a large area. So we need to try to find ways to reach people that don't get referred to us always. So this will be a website that will be very heavily marketed throughout our 10 counties over the next couple of months once we get our portal finished. Do you have anything else you wanted to add, Vicky? That's pretty much what I had for our program, or if anybody has questions.
I didn't have anything, Vicky, other than, I do speak to them one-on-one on the phone and do a pretty lengthy assessment with them. each caregiver to, you know, find out their needs and how we can assist them in our King County area. So
That's a very good point, that we look at not only the needs of the caregiver, but also of the person that they're caring for. So our assessment encompasses both of those areas to be able to help them as much as we can.
Hi, Vicky. This is Barb Turpin. Thank you for that excellent presentation. I'm excited about the portal. I'm really want to put that link up on our website too for caregivers in your counties. But do you have an estimate of how many caregivers that you might serve over a period of time? You know, that you're actually serving actively?
We are generally serving 600 to 700 caregivers through information and assistance. The number is smaller for the purchases, but we do a caregiver newsletter, and we send out information to caregivers every month, and I would estimate it's about 600 to 700 caregivers.
That's a good number of caregivers that are active in your area. Thank you.
Yeah, and we would be happy to put links up in our portal once we get up and moving. I definitely, if there's links that we can put up for caregivers that people know of that are going to help them, we can also do links on our site. And we're really excited to give this a try, and we're hoping that it's going to help us reach people that we might not otherwise have reached. So.
Well, thank you so much, Vicky, for that information. And I'm sure as we go through the presentation throughout the rest of the day, there'll be others who may have questions. So at the end, we'll circle back around if others may have questions that come about as a result of other presentations. Please feel free at the end to let us know. You can also, please feel free to put questions in the chat. And so we will try and make sure that if we can answer them, we'll get them answered during the call. If not, then we'll try and get answers for you and get them out. Our next presenter is Elizabeth Jones, and Elizabeth serves as the Director of Operations and at the Appalachian Children's Coalition. And I will let her share a little bit about the coalition, but I can tell you that we are really excited about the coalition. They are doing some fantastic work down in the southeast part of the state, and they have Dr. Randy Lighty is their Executive Director, and he is the former Dean at the Ohio University School of Social Work. And I just can only say that they have done some fabulous work, and we're glad that they're with us today. So with that, Elizabeth, if you want to go ahead and share.
Sure. My internet's being a little wonky. I think everybody must be inside using their Wi-Fi today because it's so hot out. So I'm going to turn my video off. I have a PowerPoint I can share, or I can just talk. So maybe I'll just talk for now, because I'm not sure everybody is on a computer to watch. So
if you would share it, then that way we can put it out there for everyone to see later.
yep, I can do that. I can do that. Let me get back to the right page. Sorry. So we are the Appalachian Children Coalition, and
Not up yet. You're not sharing.
I thought I hit the thing. Maybe I didn't. Share and can you see the presentation now?
Yes, it's on the screen.
Okay, perfect. So again, so we're the Appalachian Children Coalition, and we were founded in 2020 to serve as, because our mission is to improve health and well-being of our region's children. So Through collective advocacy and strategic investments, we aim for a future where every child has access to the care that they require at home or in school. And the idea is that for children born in Appalachian, Ohio, access to physical, mental, and behavioral health treatments are hard, if not impossible, to come by. And that's where the idea for the coalition came. We are an alliance of mental health and educational professionals, as well as local organizations, working to address the needs of rural Appalachian children and to help make strategic investments in our region to give them the start that they need in life. So again, we were founded in 2020. We're affiliated with Sunday Creek Horizons. If you're familiar with Sunday Creek Horizons, we formed a governing board. Our initial work was centered around getting access to broadband in the region. This was especially important during COVID. And we're really happy that the state has made a large investment in broadband expansion in the state. Then also integration to behavioral health and enhanced continuum of care. Then we hired, as you said, Dr. Randy Leidy, who is the former dean of Ohio University's College of Health Sciences and Professions, joined as the first executive director in January of 21. So December 2020, January of 21. We also received state appropriation money to get us started on our workforce development initiatives. So our service area is actually all 32 of Ohio's Appalachian counties. And we're very active in about 24 of the counties right now. We've just hired additional employees, which is going to allow us to expand to all 32 counties in Appalachia. And kind of like, why Appalachia? What do we know is that in Appalachia, there's limited access to mental health care providers. None of Ohio's 6 children's hospitals are in Appalachia. There's no crisis stabilization facilities operating in the region. And there's only 1 residential treatment facility in the region, which means that children are forced to travel up to 200 miles away to receive care. And a lot of times that's difficult, obviously, transportation, reliable transportation. And this was before we even were having gasoline at $5 a gallon. These are real barriers for people to get treatment. We also know that there's concentrated poverty in the region. In Ohio, the top 12 counties with the highest rates of child poverty are centered in the Appalachian region. And the median household income in Appalachian, Ohio is 22% less than the national median and 50% less than in other non-Appalachian counties in Ohio. So what do we focus on? We're really focused on behavioral health specialists, creating a continuum of crisis care, and as we said, broadband. The idea is that we want to increase what the region needs and deserves, which is more crisis services and supports, including crisis stabilization, therapeutic foster care, CASA and guardian ad litem services in all of the counties that currently don't exist in all the counties, and wraparound services for children, no matter where they are on the continuum of care. We also know that we need more behavioral health specialists in the region. Ohio, our region is seriously lacking in the number of behavioral health specialists available. And even in the counties where there seems to be more behavioral health specialists, what we see happen there is that people from outside those counties are coming in and also using those services, which makes it hard for everybody to be able to get treatment. And we really want to, increase that, and that's why we're doing the work that we're doing with workforce development. Sorry, I'm going to skip, just so I'm not taking up a bunch of time here. I'm going to skip ahead to our Appalachian Behavioral Health Workforce Hub. So this is something that we're really excited about. We received money from the state to do workforce development around mental and behavioral health. And the idea is that we're going to create a collaborative in the region of community health workers, patient navigators, chemical dependency counseling assistants, child development assistants, and other paraprofessionals with free training so that they can do this work. So this is like people who might be out of work or people that want to make a career change and get into the behavioral health role. We're going to provide that. We're also going to establish a career impact bond loan fund that will provide no interest loans to people so that they can go to school, become a behavioral or mental health specialist, and then pay that money back while they're working in the Appalachian region. So the idea is to keep people in the region and do the work here. So we're going to, do recruitment and resources and tailored recruitment services, coaching and advising for individuals who are interested in pursuing behavioral and mental health careers, financial resources to incentivize employment. So this is the idea here is that what we see happening a lot in the region is that, let's say my organization has a social worker and you're another organization in my county and you don't have the social worker you need. What we keep seeing happen is like you hire my social worker, they go to work for you for a few $1,000s more a year, which is absolutely their right and they need to do what's right for their family. But now that just leaves me without a social worker. And so we're basically trading employees. What we want to be able to do is provide resources to incentivize employment for organizations so that they can keep their workers and recruit new workers to the workforce, like trading workers back and forth. We're going to provide access to training and professional development programs, job placement services to match individuals with positions at client organizations, paid internship and placement experiences. This is another area that the region has been lacking in. We see a lot of students leaving the region to go to bigger cities, Columbus, Cleveland, Cincinnati, because they're going to get paid experiences instead of staying here in the region for that. And then another thing that we really want to do is create needs assessment and evaluation services so we can really see what is it that needs to happen in the region, as well as building awareness of behavioral and mental health careers at the high school level to start with, so that those students know that this is a career path that they should be exploring. Also working with college students and adults seeking a career change. Our executive director really likes to make diagrams, so Randy made this. So again, the idea here is, planning the workforce, developing the workforce, and supporting the workforce. So covering all areas so that when somebody gets into a career, we're there to help them grow in their career and move, up a career ladder for them. So they might start out as a chemical dependency, assistant, but while they're working that job, go to school to become a social worker. While they're doing, entry-level social worker work, they're in school to get their master's in social work. And, we're keeping them in the region as they're continuing to move up in a career. Who's part of the coalition right now? As I said, we're working really actively in 24 counties. So you can see all of these educational service centers that are members of our coalition, as well as the ADMH boards that you see on the right-hand side there. So we have a lot of support from our school systems and from our ADAM boards. And that's who we're working closely with at this time. We also are working with organizations such as Hopewell Health Center, Integrated Services, Nationwide Children's Hospital, the Ohio Alliance for Population Health, the Foundation for Appalachian Ohio. So all these organizations we have relationships with, partnerships with, and they're working to support us. We're working to support them in the work that they're doing. So I'll stop there and see if there's any questions that anyone has.
Hi, Elizabeth, it's Barb. Thank you for all that information. It sounds like a lot of your programs hopefully will be helping families stay together. Parents keeping their children by, being able to have good paying jobs and the resources they need to stay together and not have children come into the system or be placed with kinship caregivers. And that's what we want. We really want to maintain families, without having to take children. Do you, are you aware of any kinship caregivers that are coming to your door and searching for help at this point?
So the thing, I guess one of the things about the coalition is, one of our kind of taglines is serving those who serve children. So we're not actually providing we're not doing the work, if you will. What we're doing is we're providing connections, doing advocacy, advocating at the state level and the federal level to get resources, so dollars into the region, so that organizations can do the work that they're doing. The things that we are doing, you're right, that would go along with the kinship care is, yes, we want to keep families together. We want children to be able to get the care that they need in the region without having to leave. We've had instances where a child is in a crisis, a mental health crisis situation, and the only bed that they can find for them at this time is out of state. So you're forcing families to be divided to get their child the health care that they need. So that's the reason that we're working really hard to get crisis stabilization centers in the region, as well as residential treatment centers in the region, so that we can keep children at home. The other thing that we're working on is therapeutic, advocating for and working on is therapeutic foster care. So for those really hard cases where children need specialized care, but maybe don't necessarily need to be, in a residential treatment center, we're working to expand that foster care network. And that's kind of also a place where like kinship care would come in, is we want to create resources where families, so grandparents, if you will, aunts or uncles, whoever it is, that they're able to get the resources that they need to support those children when they're in those situations, when they're deep in a mental or behavioral health crisis, to keep them together. So providing, training, respite support, whatever it is, for kinship providers as well.
Great. I mean, I'm sure the agencies in your area, and for so long, like you said, it's been a desert for families that live in those areas of services. And so I'm sure that they are glad to see your organization out there trying to connect them and the families they're serving. So thank you very much for giving that information. And I'm sure it broadens my knowledge of what's going on down there. So I'm glad to be able to pass all that information along. Thank you.
So far, we've brought about a little over $16 million into the region to support the work that we're doing. And if Randy was here, I mean, he would tell you that none of that money came to us at the coalition. That's money that we brought and directly got out to make an impact in the region. And that's the kind of work that we're trying to do. We are here to help organizations to, again, to collaborate, not to compete, to really just provide the resources and the advocacy that many of these great, other nonprofits or even state, government organizations are doing, but they don't have the resources they need. So. Thank you.
Thank you, Elizabeth. I see that Dr. Jones has joined us, so I'm thinking I can turn over the moderating of the rest of the session, going into Stephanie's piece to Dr. Jones. Is there anything that you wanted to share, Dr. Jones?
No, but you can go ahead and continue. My apologies. I misread the email wrong. I thought this meeting had been canceled. So I am really not prepared to go ahead and continue to facilitate. Again, my apologies.
Okay, Stephanie?
Yes.
Okay. Stephanie is with the Lake County Lifeline of Ohio. Again, she is a program coordinator and Kinship Navigator of the Kinship Navigator Program. So Stephanie, welcome, and please share about what it is you all are doing in Lake County to help families who are caring for their relative children.
Terrific. Thank you. Can you see my screen okay?
Yes.
All right, terrific. Well, thank you for having me. And it's really, really nice to have this forum so that we can share our programs and learn a little bit about what each of us are doing. Ron, you pronounced my name just fine. I've had anything from DiGiorno on, so it's Sulzbach-DeGidio, and you did it very, very well, and I appreciate that. Thank you.
Thank you.
I'm Stephanie DeGidio. I am the Kinship Navigator Program Coordinator for Lake County Lifeline. So we serve Lake County and a little bit of Geauga County. So I want to share a little bit of history about Lifeline. Lifeline is Lake County's community action agency. We were founded in 1973, and the name was actually Lakeland Economic Development Corporation, and we were a subsidiary of the NAACP. We just had our 49th birthday on June 19th, so Lifeline's been around for almost as long as I have. In 1974, we were incorporated as a nonprofit organization. In 1980, we partnered with the United Way, and in 1981, we also became an independent agency from the NAACP. Also in 1981, the Community Services Administration was closed and poverty was no longer considered a national priority. Community service block grants were subgranted to community action agencies from the state. So we achieved community action agency status in 1987. So we were then eligible for the block grants and the HEAP programs and such. In the 90s, we really got moving on the program. So we had things like home ownership assistance, family development, and security deposit assistance. And in the 2000s, we were continuing to develop our agency and our programs. We moved a couple times, we refined the board and the bylaws, and we changed names a couple more times. Continuing into the 2000s, we helped with Hurricane Katrina, the local Lake County victims of the flood of 2006, and our programs also expanded to include VITA, the HEAP relaunch, employment training, and a lot more. In 2011, we actually began administering the 211 INR services and added more programs through the 2010s, transitional housing and the Lifeline Endowment Against Poverty. The Kinship Navigator Program was added in the fall of 19. So moving into 2020, Lifeline was also designated as Geauga County's interim community action agency, and we opened an office in Newberry to begin offering services to Geauga's residents as well. And today we are living the Lifeline mission. We continue to serve the counties of Lake and some into Geauga. We have an annual budget of approximately $2 million. We have 30 plus employees and dozens of programs. In the 2020 and 2021 HEAP Winter Crisis Program, we served over 500 households. We served over 300 households with the 2020 Summer Crisis Program. We expect that to be increasing a great deal this year. And we answered over 34,000 incoming requests for INR services. Lake and Geauga Community Services combined to serve over 2,400 unduplicated households with health, housing, education, energy, and transportation assistance. We've also relocated again. So we are moved back to where we were a couple of years ago, but we've moved again. We're just gotten into a bigger, nicer, more open facility so that we can expand. So we are Lake County Lifeline and Lake County's Community Action Agency. Our mission is to lead the community in the fight against poverty by offering programs and opportunities to empower our residents to achieve self-sufficiency. And these are some of the programs that we offer through Lake County Lifeline. We have home and housing programs, utility payment assistance, training. We have assistance for COVID-19 problems and things that happened, vehicle repair or purchase, stuff like that. Of course, also our Kinship Navigator Program falls under the 211 umbrella, and within the Kinship Navigator Program, we also are an affiliate and facilitate the Dolly Parton Imagination Library. The Lake County Lifeline Kinship Navigator Program began when the need was discovered kind of on accident. Other program participants and coordinators would actually mention that they're raising their own grandchildren. A lot of the time it was mostly due to the opioid epidemic. So they were stressed out, and they were broke, they were emotionally strained, and they felt alone. So the light bulbs started going off and meetings were held. JFS and the Retired and Seniors Volunteer Programs began offering informational events throughout the year for grandparents that are raising their grandchildren. It piqued interest. It became evident that there were far more grandparents and other kin raising children that weren't their own and they needed support. The challenges were many. They couldn't find services. They didn't know how to navigate school, medical issues. Try parenting a generation later when you haven't had little ones around for a while. But oftentimes one of the biggest supports needed was knowing that they weren't alone. They weren't isolated. It wasn't just them. So Lifeline launched the Kinship Navigator Program in the fall of 2019. The purpose is to help grandparents and other kin who are raising children that aren't their own. So right now we have about 91 clients since the program began in 2019. Active and very interactive clients, you know, maybe about half of that I have a little more communication with. A lot of the times it's just you don't know, they don't know that they're kinship families. I know that this representation is not nearly what it should be. I came from education, and in our school, out of, let's say, 100 students, I know personally of 10 that were, you know, being raised by kin. So I don't think we are getting to everybody. So County Kinship Navigator Program provides for one-to-one support, information and referral, follow-up services, newsletters, information sessions, and peer support groups. And this is all at no cost to the caregiver. I'll get into a little bit about each of the different components. So one-to-one is a conversation, and we just talk, and I listen. We try to talk through and identify the needs and their issues, and they tell me their story. A lot of the times they just talk, and I thank them because I can't imagine how hard it is to undertake something like that. And usually it's not in a situation that was expected. You know, it's a phone call at the last minute. Can you take the kids? Will you take the kids? You don't know what's behind what happened. So we listen and we try to just give them patience and understanding. And I ask them to give themselves patience and understanding. Then I start to get to work trying to find information. We search our INR databases and any other related resources that we can find. In INR, we provide a detailed information and referral listing along with any other support that may assist the family with their new dynamic. Along with the program and contact information, we give them some help with like next steps, little suggestions, kind of try to help guide them a little bit more. And we do newsletters. So monthly, we produce a monthly newsletter with relative information to the kinship caregivers. We identify any new programs that are available, any school and education information, activities, topical stuff for the month or the interest. Information sessions are kind of similar. We offer regular information sessions on topics of interest and assistance to the kinship caregivers. Simple topics, how to navigate school enrollment, school choices, how to care for yourself, because, you know, we forget to take care of ourselves, legal issues, how to provide and find services, etc. We're just beginning our local peer support groups. We facilitate and try to help clients find the OGKC and some of the other bigger peer support groups, but we're starting our own now. So we're very, very excited to be beginning that. We just moved, so we're a little more delayed than I would hope, but we're getting there. We're going to have an open forum so we can chat and share and vent and commiserate and celebrate together. It's just going to be another way of connecting. Dedicated follow-up services is one of the most important components of our program. We want to make sure that the help we're referring them to is actually helpful. We want to check back with our clients after referrals or other information and ensure they understood the information and see if they were able to actually make those connections. That way, if they need additional information, they need clarification, we're here. The main thing is keeping in touch, maintaining contact, helping them realize we're here and they're not completely alone in this incredibly emotional undertaking. Connection, community, and compassion. With the newsletters, the information sessions, and follow-ups are another bridge to connection. They help keep us current with the family and provide additional opportunities to interact and communicate. The interaction helps us identify other services or needs that the families are struggling with. It helps us look for services or with plans for future community assistance programs. We show understanding, we show compassion for the caregivers, the children, and the situations. they get support to strengthen so they can sustain their family. And of course, future, we have dreams. Talk to the actual people and you find out what they really need. Sometimes it doesn't always go along with programs that you have. So we promote the program and we increase awareness, and we do everything that we can so that we can try to improve and empower our clients while we're growing. So we promote the program, increase awareness. We have community outreach events. We visit senior centers and resource centers. We provide the information centers to the community at times, and other sharing with programs and agencies so that we can likewise share what their programs are, what our programs are, and kind of interact that way. And of course, we're considering some of these other fun little things. I would love to see some kinship mentoring where other families can help newer kinship participants, through some of the hard steps. Just another way, more of a personal one-to-one connection as opposed to a peer support group. Little things, lawn care, snow removal, grooming service, respite care. We don't have money for this, not in our program. Finding services for this. Some do, some don't. Our cities and counties are specific, so we don't always have all of this stuff. And little stuff that takes that pocket change, zoo visits, memberships, museums, sports, any of that stuff. It's hard for these folks to make those ends meet and come up with just a little extra. That's pretty much it. I did leave out our sponsor page. I apologize for that because I never leave out a sponsor page. And I can't name them all, but primarily Adams Board from Lake County and United Way. We have a lot from the Lake County themselves, community development, and the city of Mentor, and many, many more. So I'm sorry I left the sponsor page out, but this is my contact information. I thank you again very much for allowing me to share our program and to get to know some of these other programs. And I welcome anyone to reach out with questions or to share the information or anything else. So I think that's it with me, and thank you very much.
Thank you, Stephanie. Are there any questions for Stephanie? Okay, well, we can decide later if there are questions that come up afterwards. So our next presenter is Marsha Rose, and Marsha Rose is the supervisor of the Lucas County Kinship Navigator Program at the Area Office on Aging of Northwest Ohio. So Marsha Rose, if you would kindly share what it is you all are doing up in Toledo and the greater Toledo area. Thank you.
Yeah, thanks so much, Ron. And I wanted to thank Barbara for having us present today. I'm actually going to share my screen to do a PowerPoint slide presentation, but I'm going to stop my video because our bandwidth is limited here. Let me do that real quick.
Okay.
There we go. So I'm Marsha Rose. I am with the Area Office on Aging of Northwestern Ohio. Within that organization, we serve 10 counties in Northwest Ohio. The counties the Area Office on Aging serve include encompass all the way from Paulding County out by the Indiana border back to the Sandusky, Ohio area. Our Kinship Navigator program is specific because it is actually only for residents of Lucas County, Ohio. So just a few objectives. I know I'm preaching to the choir here with this group today, so I'm going to kind of speed through some slides that we normally have kinship facts and information about kinship care, but we want to be able to define what kinship care is. We also want to increase participants' knowledge and about quick facts related to kinship care today, and to also delve into the Kinship Navigator Program services provided here in Lucas County by the Area Office on Aging, and also to let you know how to connect with our program. So kinship care, as we all know, is when grandparents or other adult family relatives or friends are raising children when the biological parents are unable or unwilling to do so. And as we know, kinship care comes about for a variety of reasons. It could be severe illness or death of a biological parent, mental health issues, substance use disorders, abuse or neglect or abandonment. And then quick facts regarding grandparents who are raising grandchildren. We know that 19% of grandparents raising children live in poverty. 46% of grandparents have raised these grandchildren for at least 5 years. 56% of grandparents are still in the workforce. 25% of grandparents raising grandchildren have a disability, and over 48% of those grandparents raising grandchildren are age 60 and older. And as another presenter already said, and we know, it's a lot more challenging when you've been out of the parenting phase for many years, and as a grandparent at the last moment's notice are often getting your grandchildren to come live with you. And we know from research studies that have been done over decades that kinship care leads to better outcomes and permanency. Better outcomes in the areas of mental health, behavioral health, stability and permanency, giving the family a sense of belonging and maintaining those sibling ties. Our Kinship Navigator program in Lucas County, we have been offering the kinship program for approximately 22 years. So we've been doing this for quite a while. We have information and referral services. We offer support groups. We have evidence-based educational programs, special events, and publications, including our free Parenting Smarts resource guide. Our main goal is to help caregivers find and access services to meet their own needs and the needs of the children they're raising, and to promote effective partnerships among public and private agencies. Our program actually started in 2001 and was the result of a statewide initiative by the Department of Job and Family Services. And we currently provide services to over 1,100 caregivers. Our program is funded through a variety of ways. We do receive funds from the Lucas County Children's Services Levy. Lucas County Children's Services is our child welfare agency here in Lucas County. We also receive funds from the Lucas County Senior Services Levy and through the Lucas County Department of Job and Family Services. We also receive funding from the National Family Caregiver Support Program. And Ohio is actually, as we know, one of the few states that offer programs to serve kinship caregivers and families. And kinship services here in Lucas County, again, you know, having been present for 22 years, you know, we're one of the areas that has provided us, you know, a strong network for kinship caregivers in the state of Ohio. So delving into kind of the meat and potatoes of our program and the things that we offer to our families. This screen shows you just our basic program flyer. We do provide information referral services. We offer ongoing assistance to caregivers. You know, they always can call us, and we do regular check-ins with families to just evaluate their needs and see how things are going for them. We offer kinship clubs and quarterly support groups to caregivers, evidence-based workshops. We have a summer series that's coming up here in a few weeks, here in July, where we do offer 6 different days of educational programs for caregivers and for children. We have many special events, which we're going to talk about these more specifically as we move forward. We do offer holiday assistance for families, quarterly newsletters. Again, our Parenting Smarts resource guide, which is a free publication. And we also have regular COVID-19 e-blasts that started back at the beginning of the pandemic. And those e-blasts are a good way to stay connected with our families on an ongoing basis and provide them with a variety of resources and family activities that are going on in the community. And what we, as an area agency on aging, it's important that, we offer a variety of services here for individuals, and that kinship caregivers who are connected with us do have that convenient and seamless access to those other programs and services offered through our agency. When we receive a referral or a caregiver calls us, we want to start to have that conversation with them about what their needs are. And we do have an assessment tool that we use to review a lot of basic and some more complex needs, as well as get some information about the household in general. We talk about food, needs for food, transportation, housing, furniture, clothing, financial help, legal assistance, childcare, educational options, and mental health. There's a lot more, as we know. But we do that initial assessment to help link them with resources and programs that can meet their needs in these identified areas. And we also do a follow-up assessment at about 6 weeks out from that intake. And we talk about this again to see if they followed up on the referral resources we've provided, to see if they need any more individualized help with that process. Our Kinship Club meetings, we offer once a quarter. The Kinship Club meetings and our Let's Talk support group are just a great way for family caregivers to connect with each other as they're going through similar situations. These programs help our caregivers cope with the added stress of parenting again and help increase their knowledge and skills in the area of parenting, child development, and other beneficial topics. And we also work to educate caregivers to help them strengthen their relationships with the children they're caring for. I mentioned our evidence-based workshop, and we actually partner with a local mental health agency called Harbor. Harbor is our facilitator for this program twice a year. Our caregivers, if they attend the Wellness Initiative for Senior Education, which actually talks a lot about the aging process, how to make healthy lifestyle choices, how to talk with your healthcare providers and your mental health care providers, medication safety, a variety of things. If our caregivers attend and they complete the series of workshops, which is 6 lessons, successfully, they will earn a free $50 Kroger gift card upon completion. So that's a little incentive and help for our families who are interested in learning more about that process. As I mentioned, our virtual summer series is coming up here in July. Our agency actually pivoted to the virtual platform, as many others, when COVID came along. It changed a lot of things as far as how we do our events. We're still in virtual mode, at least through the end of this year, and then going to reevaluate more in-person programming for next year. But our virtual summer series is, again, 6 days of educational programming. We do have topics related to education, mental health, permanency and support, legal issues, health and wellness, and caregiver self-care, which is an important one. Our preview for the agenda that is our summer program is on your screen there. It has a lot of great presenters from our community partners. And because we weren't doing in-person programming, we wanted to beef up our virtual programs and education for caregivers. In the last year, we've offered a lot more training as far as using a computer and technology training. That was a big one. We did have a program here at the agency that provided tablets, electronic tablets, and some free orientation and training through COVID funds, actually, through the CARES Act. And that was to help people engage through technology and participate. So we kind of spread it off of that. We've talked about compassion fatigue, mental health first aid, trauma and parenting, how to manage chronic pain, medication management in adults, and healthy and budget-friendly meals and snacks for a busy lifestyle. Those are just some examples of extra caregiver education we provided. One of the things I like to say is sometimes we think we know what caregivers need. I just giggle when I think of that. We think we know what's best, but our caregivers, you know, we have some tangible things that we give them through events and distributions that we've done. And those are the things they really appreciate. So we work with our community partners to offer things like tickets to the Toledo Mud Hens, tickets to Toledo Walleye Games, Gene Cook baseball camp scholarships in the summer, back to school events, and offering school supplies, winter coats, hats and gloves, holiday meal boxes, holiday hams and turkeys, and COVID-19 relief gift cards for Kroger. And all of those were because of our community partners. Those things that we provide, some of those do help stabilize the home and promote permanency, but they also bring the family together through a lot of those events and items that they obtain through our program. We also have a strong collaboration with our local Lucas County Children's Services Office, and for individuals who have a history of a case with the child welfare system and they have legal custody of the child, we can help them access additional things they might need, such as food, clothing, furniture, items like strollers, memberships to enhance enrichment opportunities like Toledo Zoo, YMCA, those kind of items. So that's a very big partnership for us that's allowed us to offer those things to our caregivers we serve. And again, we engage in outreach efforts to try to grow those partnerships and collaborations and to also reach our caregivers out there. The hard thing is, you know, we serve over 1,100 caregivers, which is a lot of people, but we still know that there's kinship caregivers out there that maybe we haven't reached or who haven't heard about our program. And the reason being, typically it's hard to find them, is because the kinship caregiving status is often fluid. You know, if the children are reunited with the biological parents, you know, that can change quite often. Also, there's sometimes a stigma associated with poor kinship caregivers that are reaching out and asking for help and saying, hey, I'm going through this. And oftentimes those caregivers have not had involvement with a formal agency. So we're trying very hard with our outreach efforts to reach those families and try to help them learn more about what's available to them here in our area and participate in our programs. Our Parenting Smarts Resource Guide is a 64-page publication that we put out every other year. It is filled with community resources and information for kinship families. Kinship resources like the Kinship Support Program, the KPIP program, the Ohio Works program, different public benefits they can access, tips for boosting resiliency. We felt that was very well needed going through this COVID pandemic and the challenges that that also presented for families. Information about parenting and child development, help with expenses, information about early childhood education, babysitting options, occasional care, school choices, understanding legal issues, which is another very big need for our families, as well as a big section about different medical services and integrated care of physical health and wellness and mental health. And we also did a section on family activities and recreation. And there's much more in this guide. It is free to families. We send them out to every family enrolled in our program when the guide initially gets delivered to us. And then, of course, as new families come along, they get a copy. And professionals also ask us for copies of this to use as a guide in their organizations as well. We do send out a quarterly newsletter that goes out to families. On your screen is an example of our spring newsletter. We actually just sent out our summer newsletter this past week. We usually put like a resource corner on there to make sure that families know about maybe new resources that have come about, and also an article of interest related to kinship care. In this particular edition, we had an article about 9 dimensions of wellness, and we also put our upcoming kinship programs. Caregivers and professional staff can self-subscribe to our newsletter through the areaofficeonaging.com website. We also do a bi-monthly e-blast that goes out, as I mentioned before, and those also can be self-subscribed to on our website. And again, if a caregiver enrolls in our Kinship Navigator program, they get the benefit of convenient and seamless access to the Area Office on Aging's free programs and services. And on your screen, you see 2 more resource guides that our agency publishes, the Older Adults Resource Guide and our Caregiver Support Resource Guide. And on this screen too, we have a list of just some of our programs that families can access. And there's some on here that provide help at home for individuals that have had a decline in function. There's some here for caregivers who are maybe caring for a spouse that is aging, or a parent that is aging. We have a lot of our kinship families sometimes that kinship caregiver has a dual role. They're not only providing, kinship support to a child, but they might be caring for an aging parent as well. So these are just some examples of our programs available to them. On your screen, you see one of our kinship families. This is Tina. Tina actually raises 3 teenage grandsons. Well, I wanted to say 4. She actually raises 4 teenage grandsons, but there's 3 in the picture because one had something else going on that day of the photograph. But this is just a testimonial by Tina that we helped her purchase bunk beds for the boys, helped with meals and her electronic tablet that she used to learn Spanish on, and that we also provided her with resources after she lost everything in a house fire and had to relocate. Our kinship program staff, we are small, but we are mighty. Myself and Amy Johnson are the kinship staff here at the Area Office on Aging. On your screen, you see our direct phone numbers and email addresses. And then I just wanted to talk just briefly about the enrollment, because there's some misconceptions sometimes about who can sign up for Kinship Navigator. So Kinship caregiver can enroll, and it's all the services we provide are free. They can enroll if they meet the following eligibility guidelines. They're the primary caregiver, raising a child or children from birth to 18 years of age, and they reside in Lucas County. The reason we limit it to Lucas County is tied back to our funding. You know, our funding that we get is to serve residents of Lucas County. So it's not like we're trying to be, you know, exclude people. And gosh, we'd love to form relationships with our other 9 counties here. And hopefully someday that can happen. But funding is an issue. And so it really is tied back to funding. A couple other noteworthy items about eligibility. There's no caregiver age requirements. We have caregivers of every age range. We have some caregivers in their 20s who are caring for a sibling after their parents passed away. We have no caregiver household income requirements. So it doesn't matter if you make $1 million or if you have $1 in your bank account, we still provide services. And there's no legal custody requirement. Again, you have to be the primary caregiver. Many times it's informal because there's no custody or guardianship in place. If one of our partners wants to make a referral or our caregivers want to self-refer and just call in, these are the ways they can reach us: by phone, fax, or email. And on this screen, you see a lot of different testimonials that some of our community leaders have provided. We work closely again with our county agencies, the juvenile court system, our local school systems in the area, both public and private schools, our local hospital systems, and healthcare, managed healthcare plans. And that's the end of my presentation. I so appreciate this opportunity today. It's been great to hear about the differences and what everybody's doing throughout the state as far as kinship services. Thank you.
Thank you, Marsha. Are there any questions? If there are no questions, then now we're going to move to Carla Lanier. And Carla is the director of the Kinship Support Program at the Fairhill Partners facility or complex, and that's located in Cuyahoga County in Cleveland. So Carla, if you want to share. Okay. Carla?
Hello?
Yes, we can hear you now.
I didn't hear you first.
We're ready for your presentation if you're ready to talk about your program at Fairhill.
Thank you. So here at Fairhill Partners, I am the Kinship Program Coordinator. And within our program, we offer, we have a couple programs. We offer support every week. We have a kinship support group that meets every week where we have a My Time, where it's an opportunity for them to have a platform to discuss issues they may be facing in their home or just concerns. I have a Meet the Professional where I bring in professionals from surrounding communities to address some of the concerns that they had made brought up in the meeting, or just some things that I know that they need to learn more about. And I have, within our program, we have a respite program where we do provide respite every third Saturday, where we give an opportunity for the grandparents to have a break. And we collaborate with Metro Park, which they take our kids on an adventure, which is called the Adventure Club, where the kids get an opportunity to utilize outdoor activities through the Metro Parks. We also have a new program called Bridge to Health. We're still in the planning part of this program. But this program is to address some of the concerns that our young people have. And we're doing it through an intergenerational perspective. So we are hearing the concerns of the grandparents, and we are hearing the concerns of the children that is in their custody. And through that program, we're going to bring surrounding communities together with resources that address the issues that they're having. Because we found that in a lot of our inner city that the health disparity is because of the lack of communication. And if we can break down that barrier between our kinship grandmothers and their grandchildren, then maybe we can address some of the concern. Because one of the things that we did find out in our program is that a lot of our children were dealing with mental illness, that their mental health was one of their concerns during COVID. So with that being said, then we immediately started addressing this. So we started having programs dealing with them having a platform to have a voice. And that is so important in our program, that we give our young people a voice so we can address some of their concerns. Also in our program, we have a program, the LAMP program, which is a leadership, achieving, mentoring with purpose. A lot of our children, because of the generational gap in between the grandmother and the child, they really can't provide all the necessary service that's needed to help them. With this particular program, we have professors and we have teachers who are coming in and helping our children to bridge that gap with their educational need. In the process of doing that, we're teaching our kids how to be leaders, because a lot of kids don't feel they have a voice. And in this program, we're giving them that voice so they can speak up for themselves. And they have a positive mentor helping them to shape them to be the best that they can be. And we do that program every fourth Saturday of the month, just so another form of respite for the grandmothers too, but it's also an opportunity for them to increase their child awareness. Also, we have a kinship summer camp in our program, because we know a lot of times when children who are in kinship, you always hear, where's your mother? Where's your father? Why your mother? So we try to alleviate that conversation. So we develop a kinship summer camp where every kid is being raised by their grandmother. So those questions never come to the table, but it gives them an opportunity to see that they're not alone, because a lot of kids don't understand why they have to live with grandmother. They think they're just so different. In our camp, they get to see that other kids live with their grandparents and they're okay with it. And then within our camp, we allow them to address some of their issues again, because I'm a big fan of giving our children a voice, because I know they deal with a lot in today's society, and sometimes they feel their voice is not heard. In our camp, we have a platform, we have a discussion. We have a table around where we just talk about what is needed. And I think that makes our camp so unique, that kids can feel at peace. There's nobody looking at them differently. And they know that everybody in the room care about them, because we know the dynamics that they come from. I think that is all that we at this moment. And I have an art class too. So we have a relationship with the art therapy studio, where some kids are not verbal, but they're they know how to express themselves through a different way. So we use the art therapy to allow our children to express themselves through art. And we do that in collaboration with our own art therapy that's located in Fairhill Partners. And through that collaboration, a lot of our kids have really came out with a voice, because they learned how to express themselves through their art. And with a therapist looking at their art, it was able to have a conversation. Why you did this? Why you do that? And it was very therapeutic for them, and the grandparents are able to see the growth in their children. I believe that is all. As for now, I'm always looking for opportunities for more programming, because one thing I do understand, when you have a generational gap and you have grandparents who are on their income on a low spectrum, they need resources and opportunities, because that is the only way to get exposure. And it's one more program that I've been working with. It's called SciAct, See You at the Top. This particular program takes our children to outdoor space. They allow children to explore and learn about how to have fun in outdoor space. And I just want to share just wonderful thing with you all. During COVID last year, I always wanted our kids to know what it felt like to go real camping, go camping. And because I'm always having a camp inside our own building at Fairhill Partners, SIAC decided to teach our kids how to set up a tent, how to cook outside. And for our last event, they took our kids camping. That one event was a life-changing for a lot of our children because they never had an opportunity to spend outside and camp. That's the type of program that SIAC brings. They break down barriers and they build bridges to opportunities because our kids went canoeing. Our children are basically from the inner city. So these opportunities are not there for them. But with SIAC, they took our kids canoeing. They went kayaking. They went snorkeling. And they learned how to snorkel. She certified them. So one thing SIAC does, it breaks every barrier of what I can't do. It's now what I can do. And that actually makes our kinship children feel that they're extra special because they're doing things that other kids are not doing because they're not in that predicament. So that is one of our wonderful programs and wonderful collaboration that we have with SIAC. Thank you.
Thank you, Carla. That was excellent. And we so appreciate it. Sound like you all are very busy up there and doing some wonderful things. And I think what we have seen and heard today is that across the state, there's a lot of great work going on. And I think one of the challenges that we at the Ohio Grandparent Kinship Coalition will have to continue to wrestle with is how we continue to make sure that everybody hears about this great work and are able to access it, because it sounds like that you're doing things that really would help grandparents and other relatives really be able to stabilize their placements with their children, but also address the needs that the children have. And so we are really excited that we've heard about the wonderful work that Marsha, you all are doing up there in Toledo. We OGKC did present at one of your summer camps. And so we know exactly what that's like. And it was a fabulous event. And then Vicky, the work you've been doing down in Southeast Ohio, I remember you calling, just asking some questions on some things. And we talked about things that might help move your program the way that you wanted it to go. So, clearly all of us have been engaged. And Stephanie, I saw your question on how can we increase participation among support groups. There's a young lady, Angela Provenzano, who's doing a lot of work around kinship support groups around the state, and we're going to make sure we get you connected with her. And so, all of us, and Carla, Yvanka's told me a lot about what you all do up there, and you all are just amazing. And Barbara's talked about it as well. So, I think each and every one of the presenters today has really shared information that's going to be able to help our families. And so we will make it our job to make sure that we continue to have forums and opportunities to share this information and get it out to caregivers and to other support groups who work with caregivers. And so we thank you all for sharing today. I see Marsha has her hand up. Yes, Marsha. I learned that in another meeting, Marsha. I never knew what that little thing was. And somebody said, somebody had their hand up, Ronnie. You just keep talking. Well, go ahead.
Well, thank you. I just wanted to interject too, in response to Stephanie's question about engagement, because that's been a big thing for us, especially trying to operate on a virtual platform. There's a lot of Zoom fatigue is a real thing, and trying to get people just to tune in on Zoom it's been hard. So we did, we of course do a survey twice a year to kind of get that feedback from caregivers, what they'd like more of, different ideas. We had a really cool thing happen this year with Buckeye Health Plan. We kind of pitched to them, we'd like to do this resiliency raffle to increase engagement in our support groups and our virtual programming. And so they sponsored the raffle, and every quarter we have people earn tickets by attending. So if you tune in for an educational program and complete your program evaluation form afterwards, you earn a ticket for the quarterly raffle. And there's some really great prizes that Buckeye provided us with that are kind of an incentive. And then the other thing we've really tried is to keep booking new and interesting speakers on new and interesting topics, and trying to have those sessions, even though they're virtual, be as interactive as possible. So we've had, for example, for our Kinship Club tomorrow, we had the Art Museum drop off art kits that we'll be delivering to caregivers this afternoon. And for people who tune in, they get to do an interactive art activity for self-care tomorrow. So, you know, just a few ideas up from here from Lucas County. Hopefully that's helpful, Stephanie.
Thank you so much for sharing, Marsha.
Very much so. Thank you, Marsha. Those are some really, really great ideas. I'm gonna try to pursue some of those. Thank you.
And so I think we're nearing the end of our time together. Dr. Jones, is there anything you or Barbara, or I think Siobhan was also on the line, who are board members at OGKC, is there anything that you all wanted to share?
Yes, Dr. Jones here. I don't know if there was a lot of good information shared this afternoon, and we thank you for your service impacting the community. The Ohio Federation for Equity and Health is doing a special initiative on oral health. I don't know if you have received any information in terms of to the grandparents. If not, I want to make sure we reach back out to you and get those applications, questionnaires to you, and maybe you can help them complete them and get them back to us. Once complete them, you know, they will get a $50 gift card. So if you haven't heard about it, I want that you had that information, and we'll be reaching out to you as a follow-up. We need about 125 more participants to validate the initiative. So we'll be reaching out to you very soon here. Thank you.
Thank you, Dr. Jones. And so, Marsha, do you have another question? Or you can't take the hand down? Okay. And so we wanted to let everyone know that we will not have a meeting next month, July. So take July to enjoy yourselves and refresh yourselves. And we will meet on August the 24th. Our next meeting will be August the 24th. We will have a webinar, and that webinar will focus on back to school. And so is that correct, Barbara?
Yes, it'll be through the Education Association are going to specifically talk about IEPs and those kinds of things that a lot of caregivers have to deal with when their children are enrolled in school.
For dealing with making sure that your children, when they have exceptional needs or special needs, when they're in their educational needs, that they're getting what they need to be successful. So that will be on August the 24th. And so we ask that you enjoy your summer, and we know that the work that you do is making a difference for families, and we appreciate that. And anything that the Ohio Grandparent Kinship Coalition can do to assist you all, please let us know. And we will probably be reaching out individually to some of you and calling on you to share again in the future, and just continue to do the work you're doing. And I thank you, Vicky, for telling me that Vicky had left, but she's been a fabulous person, so do share. We appreciate all that she does. Okay. Thank you all, and you have a good evening. Take care.
Thank you.